Hi, and welcome to today's Ubiquiti setup tutorial. So today we're going to just do a straight Nanostation to Nanostation. So you need to be able to navigate to your Nanostation. So first you need to change your IP address. It can be anything in the 192.168.1 range. I'm going to choose 100 here just to make it easiest, but you can do anything other than 20 because 20 is the default for the Ubiquities. You don't have to do anything for the DNS as we're not going out to the web. So we can hit OK and close. And alright, so now the network should be changed. We can pull up a web browser and we can navigate to the default address of the Ubiquiti, which is 192.168.1.20. Once it loads, it's going to come up with an invalid certificate. They never signed it. It's self-signed here, so you can just proceed. It'll be okay. And the default username and password is the same. It's UBNT. That should be in your manual if you lose it, but UBNT is the default username and password. Choose your country, Canada for instance, and hit submit. Hit submit. Okay, so once it loads up, it'll give you a little bit of details about the device, so things like what mode it's in. It's in bridge mode, it's in a station, so it's actually the endpoint, it's not the part that's going to be on the router side. That would be the access point, so we need to switch this over to an access point. So you go wireless, and you choose it again. You have station, access point repeater. We want to choose access point because that's what's going to be sort of the main spoke. Same is true for the rocket hubs. If you ever get a rocket hub, it's going to be the access point. All the nanostations are stations that go back to the access point. So we'll choose a name here. Some people leave it as the default. I prefer to always change the SSID. That way someone going by might not know what you're actually using. You can choose different channels, so if you are getting interference or if you have another nanostation nearby, you can change that. And then of course always put in a username, or a wireless password. So you can put in sort of your basic password and then show it if you need to just double check, like testing, but the trouble is it's pretty easy for a word attack to get there, so I recommend doing something a little bit more advanced, like, capital T, throw in a couple of letters and numbers. Again, standard wireless sort of safety procedures. For this demo, I'm just going to make it something simple because these won't be up and running for long. So let's change this. Apparently I need to actually put a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so when you hit change, it doesn't just change right away. You actually then have to hit apply. You can test it if you're just wanting to make sure it's quick, but hit apply, and then it does a bit of a soft reboot to itself. So it doesn't take very long, but you do actually, if you want to say click on network up here, it won't load right away. You have to give it a little bit more time, or you can just refresh the page. And it should load here. Alright, there we go. So it's going to load now. Okay, so now we're under network. So network's important. You can choose if you want it to be a bridge or a router if you're near the area, but I prefer bridge for what we're doing here. We want to change the IP address. The network it's on might not be the network that you have to connect to. You always want to be able to get into these guys, make sure they're up and running, make sure nothing's been changed. So I'm just going to change the static IP to something on our network. And again, when you hit change, it will require you to hit apply. And then this one does a little bit more of a restart. It does anytime you change IP addresses, it should do a bit of a restart here. And so it tried to automatically change it. I've just copied it back because we're going to put in the station now. So I plugged in the station. So again, default username and password. This is the different device now. So this one is actually going to be our station. The bridge now is on that 180 IP address. So we're going to go into wireless. And now we want to change the SSID to match what I had just made the access point. So now you can lock it to the MAC IP, the AP MAC address if you want to. So if you do have a lot of nanostations around, sometimes it's useful to lock it down just to one. And let's, again, just you can always show it just to make sure you typed it in correctly. Let's hit change, apply. Okay. So we'll go to network now, but again, it's going to crash, so we're going to have to refresh the page. Okay, so again, just like the access point, you'll change your IP address of the station this time. So I'll hit apply, and then I'm just going to skip ahead here a little bit. So now we need to change our IP address back to what it used to be. So go back to your IPv4 address, and you can just change it to automatic if you want, or if you have your own assigned static IP. And then we're going to open up a web browser, or actually, so we're getting internet now, so that's good. That means we actually have it going through the network. So we're going to just make sure that we can actually connect to each of those devices that we just changed. So 180 is our access point. That's actually on the far end of this connection, so it's going back to the access point, then back to the router, just to let me find it. And so I was able to connect. I see you can have a good connection. So some of the things you want to look at, things like how many connections you have is important, what the noise is like, so that's how much interference you're getting. This is on the access point, so they don't tell you as much about how much signal strength each individual device is getting, but it tells you the overall quality and the capacity of the network that you're running. Now these guys are a bit close, so they actually are a little bit weaker than they should be. Most Ubiquities go for about a kilometer or two. So you also have a graph telling you at the bottom if you have data going through. That can be a useful indicator if there's a proper connection, or maybe a camera went down and you're trying to figure out where along the chain it happened. Transmit CCQ won't show up yet, but that also will tell you how much drop-off you're having. So if you're getting a lot of errors or interference, sometimes that will drop down significantly from 100 to, it might drop to like 60 or 70, and that means you're having to send a lot of that data back, and it could be causing you issues. So we're going to go to the station now. It'll have a little bit more detail for us. Okay, again, you can change all these under the system, the username and password. I do recommend it, in case the demo doesn't matter. So again, here you got your signal strength. So a lower number here, or a lower minus number is better. There's the transmit CCQ, so it's getting a little bit of interference or drop-offs. Maybe our devices are a bit too close. So you look at all these little factors, and they can sort of tell you how good of a signal you have. The signal strength bar is really just a quick indicator. But it's a good way if you're putting up the device to sort of see, am I getting a good signal? You can always log into this while you're setting it up, just to sort of test it and make sure you are getting good signal strength. I always recommend doing the access points first for that reason. Alright, so now I just want to confirm that the camera that I have is going all the way through the network and coming back to me. So I've moved over to the access point side now, and we're going to go to the camera on the other side. So it would be, Open up a web browser. And voila, I can pull up the camera. So that was it, guys. It's up and running, so I hope you guys find this useful.